Owen Schroyer here, and I am about to turn myself in to be a speech prisoner in Biden's America. Unfortunately, we knew that things would get this bad. Unfortunately, we knew the Democrats were this corrupt, and now I have to hit the front lines and be a speech prisoner in Biden's America. And as I go, I am currently involved in litigation to try to get my original Twitter account back at All I Do Is Owen, where I had over 300,000 followers, but I've been censored there for years. So in the meantime, while I'm away, I've launched this Twitter account at Owen Schroyer 1776. It's actually run by a media team. It's not run by me, but my media team who will be giving you updates while I'm incarcerated, daily updates while I'm incarcerated, sharing old video clips, new video clips, and as well as phone audio recordings and maybe even live recordings while I'm away.
Owen Schroyer 1776, and I made a joke that when Vivek Ramaswamy was using the 1776 moment that he'd better be careful. You know, when DeSantis was using his Martha's Vineyard gag, he'd better be careful, because once they start coming after one person for something and they see that it works, and we're going to get into it today, they'll come after everybody. And chanting 1776 apparently, you know, jail-worthy. No bond, by the way. He's going to jail for 60 days. Owen Schroyer. We had him on a month ago, maybe, give or take. 60 days. No bond pending his appeal. So by the time he appeals and the appeal is done, he'll have served his time already. Let's let him finish this here for a bit.
So please follow this account at Owen Schroyer 1776 for updates while I'm away. And spread this video far and wide to let others know, hey, Owen Schroyer is back on Twitter right here at Owen Schroyer 1776. And that year, 1776, is extremely important. Not
Revolution.
just because it was the founding year of our country, but the U.S. government is arguing that it's illegal for me to say 1776 in Washington, D.C.
Everybody should be paying attention to this unironically. Yeah, that's what I mean. Unironic. Everyone should seriously be paying attention to this.
Don't believe me? Check the U.S. government sentencing memo for yourself. They said that me chanting 1776 in Washington, D.C. is worthy of 60 days in prison. So, it's Owen Schroyer 1776. Please share this video, let people know I'm back on Twitter, and follow this account for updates while I'm away. Godspeed and God bless.
Now, first of all, I'm going to leave this here for a second, because when I had Owen Schroyer on and I said he looked a little bit like, he gave me a Brad Pitt vibe. Now he's giving me a Conor McGregor vibe. Okay, I'm going to end it there. Let me just say it was Owen Schroyer at Owen Schroyer 1776. Owen Schroyer, there is no C in Schroyer. For those who are listening on podcast, OwenShroyer 1776. Let me see what he's up to now. 16,500. Last night he was under 5,000. And I gotta tell everybody this, and everybody kind of has to understand this. It doesn't matter if you don't like him. It doesn't matter if you think he's a con. I don't know what that means under the circumstances. Cons typically don't go to jail for 60 days. It doesn't matter if you think you don't like him. It's the old poem from World War II. At first they came for the union workers, and I said nothing because I wasn't a union worker. At first they came for Alex Jones, and I said nothing because I wasn't Alex Jones. Then they came for Donald Trump, and I said nothing because I wasn't Donald Trump. Then they came for his attorneys, and I said nothing because I wasn't his attorneys. Oh, you think they're not going to come knock at your front door at some point? And lo and behold, there will be no one there for you. So that is that's the intro. I couldn't figure out what to start the show with exactly. I was a little late because as I was taking Pudge out for one final squoze before the episode, she urinated all over my legs. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. For those of you who don't know, Pudge, the paralyzed puggle, is a paralyzed puggle. Let me just get a little picture of the dogs here. There you go. This is where they sit during the episodes. That's Pudge, and that's Winston. Pudge is a paralyzed puggle, and I have developed the manual squeezing technique to make sure that she fully vacates her bladder. Otherwise, she gets urinary tract infections. Oh, I'm a little too good. She got me on the way out to the front door, so there was that. All right. Today's show, give you the brief overview. My brother is coming on, Dan Freiheit, Lion Advocacy on Twitter. We're going to go over the new Canadian Pfizer, the newly released Canadian Pfizer manufacturing and supply agreement for the jibby jabs in Canada. Canada apparently felt the need to heavily redact this document, even though it seems that it's virtually identical to the unredacted South African supply and manufacturing and supply agreement. Whatever. We're going to talk about that with my bro. We're going to talk about Jenna Ellis pleading today because I try to give the benefit of the doubt to people until, incontrovertible proof of malice. I'm not yet there with Jenna, but I can understand what's going on, but she pleaded to a lesser, to a charge today. We're going to watch that. We're going to talk about that. And then there's we're going to talk about some Canadian stuff as well. Tamara Lich, her charges have been stayed. Oh, the internet lawyers think they've got the gotcha because I tweeted out her charges have been dropped. They dropped the charges for her bail violations. Eric, you stupid lawyer. It's stayed. It's not just like you idiots. I'm repeating the headline from CBC for effect. A, and B, when we refer to charges being dropped colloquially, that's exactly what we're going to get there. So my brother's coming on in a few minutes. I've reached out to Robert Gouveia. It's such short notice. I don't think he'll even see my message. But if he can come on and we'll talk about Jenna Ellis. If it's not today, it'll be sometime soon. He's covering it daily. And I get my thorough analysis from Robert Gouveia, watching The Watchers. I think I disagree with his analysis of this, or at least his interpretation of the factual elements, but whatever. We'll talk. I respect him, and I understand that he knows more than me. But before we get into any of that, actually, let me make sure that I've checked the right boxes here, because Viva is more neurotic than the Pope. Is that the expression? Oh, that's not the expression. Let me just make sure that I've checked off the box. Yes, I've checked off the box in YouTube, so no one's going to accuse Viva of anything. You may have noticed it said this stream contains a paid promotion, and it does. And my goodness, people, is the timing on this... Well, the timing is obviously good because it's Halloween in... Holy crab apples, it's Halloween in less than a week, and I've got to get ready for it. You're going to go if you're so inclined. It's a very cool thing. I actually have one upstairs. I was going to start this video with my video footage, but I had to do it in the bathroom of the projector. It's a very, very cool thing. If you go to galaxylamps.co, not galaxylamps.com, so galaxylamps.co, and it's a projector that creates an amazingly wonderful, beautiful ambiance, I believe is the word en français. Hold on one second. Why can't I find this here? I brought that up. Ugh, I'm such a buffoon. Hold on one second. I've got that up here. What's my problem? I know what my problem is. Ich bin ein Idiot, yeah? Hold on. Wow, can I know that I have the... Here we go. You're looking at okay, galaxylamps.co. I don't have it here. It's in the bathroom. It's a projector, and it's super cool because it actually makes look, people like these things when they sleep. It's very relaxing. It's sort of like it's the nebulous. They're like sort of the cosmos. And it goes on the wall, and it is relaxing, soothing. You can control it with your phone, which is very interesting. So you can change the settings. You can change all the stuff by your iPhone thing. But the coolest thing about it is it's not just good for putting kids to sleep, which it is. It's Halloween coming up in a week, and it's good for Halloween. You want to create an ambiance of like green lights, purple lights. It's fantastic, super cool. And if you go to galaxylamps.co and you do promo code VIVA, you get 15% off your order just in time for Halloween. It connects to Google Alexa, so you can actually do the voice command if you want to go one step further than the iPhone command. And it's beautiful. The cosmos is an amazing thing in general. And this allows you to appreciate that. Look at that. That's what I wanted to do also here. You go down here, check this out. This is the one we have, the Galaxy Lamp Projector 2.0, and it is cool. It is relaxing. And if there are children who don't like sleeping in the total dark, it is a wonderful solution to it. Galaxylamps.co, promo code VIVA for 15% off. And now I'm trying to end the screen, remove it here. Booyah. All right, now I see my brother just popped into the back. So the link is in the description. Halloween is a-coming, so get on it, setting up the wonderful scenario for for Halloween. All right, now I'm looking at my brother in the background. He's panicking. Are you ready to come in, Dan? We're gonna have to teach him how to fix his angle of his camera here. Dan, sir, how's it going? There you go. It's like rule number 1 of videography. You don't want the camera looking up you want it looking down, if anything, but level.
Oh, right, that's right.
Are you on your computer?
I am.
Are you at an office like you're doing the law thing?
I'm actually doing the law thing.
Hold on, I'm gonna bring you in like this.
How do I tilt it like this, you think?
Dude, your hair's looking I like it. It's like it's no longer salt and pepper. Now it's like it's
yours is like gravity's pulling yours down, man.
Gravity's pulling it down. The gravity of the world is giving me streaks of gray, but the beard is still staying majority dark. No, you know what? We're getting there, but at least
good.
Yeah, you're looking good. So you got a nice full head of hair, and it looks like you just got a haircut too.
No, I'm actually due for one. I changed the X. Remember last time I did the inappropriate.
Hold on. What did you do that's inappropriate?
Remember the X? I had the arrow pointing to the X, and it looked inappropriate.
It looked like a wiener. Yes, I remember that. Oh, Dan. Okay, so look, let me make sure here.
You got your documents ready to go?
I got my documents ready. I got both. We're going to do a comparative. Here. First of all,
bro.
Let me just bring up the one first, so that we can actually just see what the redacted document looks like. So, actually, give us a context, Dan. How did you get this document? How did this document come about? What is this document? Go for it.
Everybody who's been following this stuff knows this document was already out there, right? We all knew Canada signed the supply agreement for the vaccine with Pfizer, and the big drop was from the South Africa one. The same, what we all assume was the same agreement, right?
Well, it only matches per clause, but there might be something wildly different in it.
Right. Well, yeah, there's a few there that weren't in. I mean, that's what I'd like to ultimately know. So anyhow, so South Africa came out a while ago, and that was based on some hard work done by, I forget the name of the lawyer. I gave her a shout out
on Twitter
back in September. Yeah, but that was she does a lot of advocacy, and so in South Africa, she got the court to order the release of that document.
Well, I'll bring up the Canadian one. Excuse me. This is the Canadian one. Now I have to make sure that I pull up the right document in the backdrop.
Yeah, so you look at the date there. So that's October 2020 is when Canada signed up, right? And we knew Canada was way ahead of other countries in getting the product.
But I guess
right?
first question first, though. Who got this document and how did they get it?
Someone. This was done from a Freedom of Information Act request by some person a while back, and then you can now. So if someone does in Canada, if someone does a Freedom of Information Act request, you can get a copy of their request. And so someone via one of the platforms messaged me a copy of the copy that they got. So
okay, so
it's out there.
And I'm saying that this is neither just neither credit nor blame. You didn't get this directly yourself.
No, this was not my request, and that's important to clarify because if it was my request, then I could apply to the Information Commissioner and ask for these provisions to be unredacted. But because it was not my request, I don't think I have the right to.
Okay, hold on. I'm bringing this out. I'm bringing it out for 1 second because I don't. When I bring it up once and then I can't find it a second time to scroll through it. So I want to go back to the Canadian Pfizer document. This is it right here. Now I can scroll. Okay. Redactions. And we're going to do a little comparison to the South African one. But manufacturer and supply agreement. This is, what did you say the date of it was? We're up at the top here. October 26, 2020.
Right. South Africa signed theirs in March of 2021. So we were 5 months ahead of schedule.
Hold on. Can we just appreciate this? COVID hit. I was going to say COVID. I don't know why I'm putting in quotes here. Everything is in quotes. COVID hit in March of 2020. And they were able to develop, they had this developed and ready to sign contracts for within March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 6 months?
Not going there.
I'll go there.
Your show.
We're on YouTube, so I gotta watch I'll go there. They had the research, development of the only and one and only solution to this virus within 6 months, and they had, how many pages is that contract? They had their manufacturer and supply agreement contract already ready to go Within 6 months. Bullshizer is what I'll call that. Okay.
Hold on. Trump got, with his executive orders and stuff, he got things rolling real fast for the development of this vaccine, like within a week of COVID or something crazy, didn't he? I thought.
Yeah, well, not that I will not give Trump a pass on how things went, but even what was, the Operation Warp Speed, as far as I understood, was to develop something for the vulnerable, and it was never intended to be the one-size-fits-all for children aged 6 months and up. So in as much blame as Trump might deserve for all of this, there's a certain portion of it that he can now wash his hands of and say, well, this was never what it was intended to be. Within 6 months, they had the product and they had their contracts ready to go already. It's amazing. All right,
Speed of science.
Now we're going to add this and we're going to look at this again. So this is October 26, 2020. The table of contents, the redactions we're seeing here. What is your understanding of what you have to do to appeal the redactions?
You got like 30 days, and there's a separate in Canada. There's a separate department that can order the unredaction. But bro, it takes so long that whoever got this. If they got it back, I don't know if they got a copy of this Freedom of Information Act request released, but it took me about over a year to get for the Vaccine Injury Support Program contract. It took me about a year to get that one unredacted, and there was no dispute on that one. It's like you have these 30 days, and then they have the other party can respond, and then it goes back and forth for a good chunk of a year in some cases. Point being, this is dated October 2020, but if you look down, it was amended. It wasn't, there was basically two amendments, I think, that were significantly redacted. So this is the form of the framework, but it was finalized later.
I'll just read the preamble. This might be news for some and it won't be news for others. This manufacturing and supply agreement dated October 26 is made, between Pfizer. Whereas Pfizer US and BioNTech SE, a company organized and existing under the laws of Germany, are collaborating to develop a vaccine to address the global pandemic. Whereas subject to clinical success, and everyone should remember that, Pfizer, US, and BioNTech shall be responsible for all requirements and processes of approval of the clinical trials and the marketing authorization of the product. Whereas purchaser desires to purchase the product in Canada, subject to the clinical success, and you say they don't have a vested interest in making sure that it succeeds after they sign this contract, regardless that it succeeds. Yada yada, and subject to regulatory approval in Canada. Wow, this is absolute corruption. Corrupts absolutely. Pfizer desires to manufacture and supply such product and purchase, whereas the parties are willing to carry out the foregoing. Okay, fine.
So
go for it.
I was just gonna say, I think people want to know high level because at the end of the day, it's basically the same as the South Africa contract, right?
Yep. Except what's redacted, which we're going to compare and contrast.
Right. So I think high level. Why did they redact this, right? And I took some notes on this.
Yeah, so someone says that they redacted the redacted contract. I don't know that this is true, so I'm going to compare it to the South African contract in a second. Let me just I'm going to bring back up here. We've got this now, Pfizer, and I want to go to. I wrote it down here. Section 2.3. First of all, BioNTech. So this presumably here, I don't know what proprietary information might be redacted there. 1.12, we don't even know what that is. All your definitions, yada, yada, yada. I had section 2.3 for some reason here. Let me just go down.
Oh, yes. They censored the definition of vaccine, bro.
Sorry, let me go up.
Let's go through the alphabet. What comes after T? That's right. U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay?
So one point, just... Remember, hold on. We're going to do this in real time. I'm going to remove this one, and I'm going to go to the South African one. Hold on, South African contract here. I can't do a word search on the PDF as I have it, so I'll just have to go up to the top. So what were we at? 1.15 or 1.51? Sorry, of the definitions. Okay,
there you go.
Yeah, let's go down here. This is the Pfizer South African contract. I'm sure it's very, very different. TUV. Here we go. Vaccine. We don't know. It might not be the same terms under the Canadian supply agreement.
Right.
Vaccines shall include all vaccines, and I love vaccine is capital V, so it's not the word vaccine, it's the defined term in the agreement. It shall include...
It can change, right? It can change within jurisdictions and from time to time.
I'll read it here. Vaccine, the term capital V. V for vaccine, shall include all vaccines manufactured in whole or in part or supplied directly or indirectly by and on behalf of Pfizer, BioNTech, and any of their affiliates that are intended for the prevention of the human disease. Remember when they told you that they never said it would prevent transmission of the human disease COVID-19 or any other human disease? In each such case is caused by any of the virus SARS-CoV-2 and or any all related strains, mutations, modifications, or derivatives of the foregoing that are procured by purchaser, its agents, etc., etc. I want to skip a little bit of this heavy verbalese rubbish. Or that are administered within the territory, and whether procured or administered prior to or following the execution of this agreement, any devices, technology, or product used in the administration of or to enhance the use of effect of such vaccine, any component or constituent material of A, B, D, yada. So you go on.
It's a more expansive definition than like what you'd find on Wikipedia or the dictionary, right? Because it's a
well, it includes components and parts, and so it's not even the product. Although there it says the prevention of COVID, which we were now told they never warranted that it would, it would prevent transmission. So,
yeah,
interesting. Okay, so that definition was redacted. So now that was one cut and or compare and contrast. Let me go back to the Pfizer contract of Canada. 1.56. Okay. Section, we got the section 2, supply of product, massive redacted section there. Did we compare that or do we need to?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I'll do that afterwards. 2.3, purchase orders. On or the effective date, purchasers shall submit to Pfizer a legally binding and irrevocable subject to clinical trials and regulatory approval. I'm sure none of those things are going to be fudged and whatever. Of a purchase order for 20 million doses. Purchaser. Okay, and then we go on.
What is what is this now? Is
this is in the Canadian one.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're in the Canadian one. 20 million doses. Delivery schedule, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, by the way, you missed it. Capacity. It censored it there. Section 2.2, right?
Section 2.2, capacity.
Pfizer shall blank.
All right, hold on. So section 2.2, let's remove this. If only there were a more efficient way of doing this other than this way, but that's all we have. We got South Africa, section 2.2.
Go for it.
Let's
commercially reasonable.
2.2, capacity. Pfizer shall use commercially reasonable efforts to build or obtain manufacturing capacity to be capable of manufacturing and supplying the product to purchaser. What would be?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, go on.
Your question is why would they? What would be the motivation to redact that?
Yeah.
They're going to say. I think it says the explanation on the Canadian. It says section 18B of the Access to Information Act. If you look at the top left of the Canadian version, it'll tell you which sections of the Access to Information Act they're relying on. So it could be because commercially reasonable, whatever. That's like a business concept that's proprietary to Pfizer. So they don't want the Canada saying that's because it's a business proprietary term. They're redacting it.
I'll tell you what I think why. Because basically what they're saying is safety is going to be subjected to what was the term that they used in the. No, that's it. Hey, we did our best, subject to reason. Bull crap. That's not what safety and efficiency is supposed to be measured. Reasonable business. No. Oh, well, we were manufacturing it quickly. Some of it might have had little shards of metal in it. Others might have had DNA that wasn't supposed to be there. But we were moving at, what was the term under the South African? What was the term under the South African? Reasonable commercial, whatever. Okay.
Right. I also think it shows, and if I was in Canada, if I was in the government trying to redact this, it shows how powerful Pfizer is, right? Like it shows that it's Pfizer's discretion. It's in Pfizer's hands, how they're going to apply this commercially reasonable standard, right? So it really shows the power imbalance. A lot of these redactions, I think, right?
Absolutely. I'm just going to, before we leave this, pull up Anthony Housefather explaining how the poor itty bitty government had their hands tied when negotiating this contract with Pfizer. I mean, he explained it in so many words. 2.3. All right, 5.5. That's unless. Do you have any notes that you want to go over before we get?
What is this on the delivery schedule?
Yeah, delivery schedule.
No. Again, this just shows how powerless Canada was.
Yeah,
product shortages. Right. This is cool. This shows what happens if Pfizer has to like reallocate their doses to different countries or whatever for whatever reason. It basically, again, all in there, just commercially reasonable discretion. It's all Pfizer's, power and
we're at 2. It was commercially reasonable efforts,
right,
for safety and product. And then what were we on? It was 2.5. product shortages if authorization is received, but there are insufficient supply to deliver the full number of contracted doses, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I don't care about this. Including to the extent of, where are we getting?
Where are we getting?
The end of the sentence, including any existing shortages due to Pfizer shall work collaboratively to provide. Okay. I'll have to find out a nefarious reason for which that would have been redacted, because there is no good reason for why any of this would have been redacted other than they think it is incriminating for some reason. I'm going to skip to 5.5, Dan, unless there's price and payment. Okay, that's all this stuff here, because this is the best. Warranties and representations. Okay. It was 5.2, which is fully redacted. Does everyone remember what I think it's 5.2 of the South African contract, which we're going to pull up right now.
Yep.
South African contract, 5.2. Wait until you hear it, people. If you've been here for a while, you've already heard it a couple of times. Oh, why is this document? Is this my computer or is it the document cloud that's slow? 5.2, warranties of Pfizer. Was it 5.5? What was I at?
You were 5.2, but warranties of Pfizer, yeah.
Let's go up to 5.5. No other warranty. Purchaser acknowledgement.
Yeah.
This is from the South African contract that was unredacted. We've talked about it, but let's just flesh it out again. Purchaser acknowledges that the vaccine, capital V, so that's what was intended to prevent transmission, and all of its components, the capital V vaccine and materials related to the capital V vaccine and their components and constituent materials are being rapidly developed due to the emergency circumstances for COVID-19 pandemic and will continue to be studied after provision of the capital V vaccine to purchaser under this agreement. We're going to continue studying it after the provision of the vaccine to the purchaser, which necessarily entails after the administration to the purchaser's citizens. Purchaser further acknowledges that the long-term effects and efficacy of the vaccine are not currently known and that there may be adverse effects of the vaccine that are not currently known, safe and effective. Further, to the extent applicable, purchaser acknowledges that the product shall not be serialized. Now, that was 5. And what was the title on that? That's purchaser acknowledgement. Okay, let me just see if we're going to go back to the Canadian one.
Yeah, I think that was redacted.
Warranties of Pfizer. And then we got...
Well, no, they didn't redact it.
Purchaser acknowledgement. Okay. That one wasn't. So now hold on. 5.2.
Yeah, I think
warranties of Pfizer.
By the way, sometimes they make mistakes and they forget to redact one thing, right?
Or they redact. Hold on. 5.2. Stop screen. And let's go to 5.2 of the contract up here. Warranties of Pfizer. Pfizer warrants to purchaser that at the time of the delivery, the product, except for the non-compliance or failure to meet the relevant standard or requirement that could not be reasonably discovered given the state of medical, scientific, or technical knowledge at the time Pfizer delivered the product. 1, complies in a material manner with the relevant specifications. This is interesting. And 2, has been manufactured in material accordance with the current good manufacturing practices, subject to Pfizer's disclaimer of non-infringement, property rights, and the execution, delivery, and performance of this agreement by Pfizer will not violate any agreement or instrument. So it's definitely the 5.2A that is of interest. Now, we don't know that it's the same under the Canadian contract, but we can come to conclusions.
Yeah, that good manufacturing practices, what do you call it? Capitalized term there. So that's important to know for the this latest issue that came up with the DNA, plasmid DNA that's been in the some of the manufacturing processes. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting to see. I don't know if some of your viewers are experts on that topic, but what does it say about manufacturing if you switch up the process? I think Dr. Buckle said it was like there's a process 1 versus process 2. Like, what discretion do manufacturers have to make those kind of changes consistent with good manufacturing practices? I think it was assumed that by switching up the process, that was automatically a breach and everyone's consent is vitiated, right? But I think if you look at good manufacturing practices, whatever, I think it might say in there that you can actually change the process a bit and you don't have to tell everybody because it's not necessarily relevant. Even though people might bite my head off for that. I think that's the reality of it. Right?
Yeah.
So
I'm all...
TBD.
Hold on. Someone had just said something. Oh, here, hold on. Let me bring this up. Dan? Gnarly Bonesful says, is Dan a subject matter expert on supply and manufacture agreements with the government? Is this speculation or is this a regular occurrence? I don't know if that's an attack or if that's a legit question. Okay.
I'm not. So no. On supply. No, I'm not on these type of agreements. So that's a good point. I don't know if it's what's standard to include, and what's not, or redaction. I'm becoming a subject matter expert on Access to Information Act requests and the Vaccine Injury Support Program agreement, but not on supply manufacturing agreements. Just a general commercial lawyer perspective.
Oh, I mean, look, there's a little bit of logic in all of this as well. I've got it now here. There's a little bit of logic in all of this, but the bottom line is they're redacting something from this Canadian contract. They're redacting it for a reason, and it's all the more peculiar given the fact that it seems that if these contracts mirror each other the way they look like they do, that information is already out there. So what's the purpose of doing it?
Well, in defense of the government, I think there is an obligation for certain things to redact certain things, and then if you appeal. And by the way, I just got a note from my ATIP expert. It's actually 60 days to appeal. So if you do appeal, that's where Pfizer should generally waive if they were ethical, moral, whatever, they should waive their certain things that are relevant to the public interest and that are not really commercially need to be protected. So yeah, that whole thing, the 5.5 there, the purchaser acknowledgement, I thought that was a huge problem. I raised that in early September because What does it say there? It says we're not sure if this is long-term, safe or not, or effective.
Let's bring up the South African. It's in the Canadian. So hold on, let's bring up the Canadian one. Stop screen. This has got to be giving some people headaches out there, the way popping in and out of these screens. Here, 5.5. This is from the Canadian purchaser acknowledgement, and it's the same thing. The vaccine and materials related to the vaccine and their components are being rapidly developed due to the emergency, yada, yada, yada. Purchaser further acknowledges that the long-term effects and efficacy of the vaccine are not currently known, and that there may be adverse effects of the vaccine that are not currently known. Further, to the extent applicable, purchaser acknowledges that the products shall not be serialized. And this is at the exact same time that they're coming out and saying it's safe and effective, you have to do it, and if you don't get on a plane, if you don't do it, you're not getting on a plane or a train, and you're putting everyone else's kids at risk, while they were also, retroactively saying that they never told anyone it would prevent transmission.
I wonder also, because that was signed in October 2020, I wonder if they're going to say, well, in March 2021, or whenever, when we started really cracking down and making everybody get vaccinated, I wonder if they're going to say, well, at that point we had the, post-market data enough to say, okay, now it's safe and effective. I think that's going to be their defense.
Well, no, but that wouldn't make much sense if, to the extent that they have the same provision in the South African contract, which is already later on,
March, yeah,
temporally. It is what it is, and what it is, in my view, is. Do I say criminal? In my humble view, it's potentially horrendously inhumane.
Some other interesting, I'm looking at, because I took some notes, some other interesting sections you might want to touch on. Section 8 and 9 was redacted in the Canadian version, and that has to deal with indemnity, insurance, and liability, which I thought was interesting. And they're going to say this was redacted because it relates to litigation, potential litigation. I think that's the angle sometimes they take for that. Anything like any dispute resolution clause, they also redacted because it relates to potential litigation.
Who was Minister of Procurement then? I think it was... Am I wrong? I think it was Anthony Housefather, which is the perfect segue. Let me just bring it up, Dan. It'll take a minute.
No, he wasn't, was he?
Well, he is now. I'll see when he came in. But here, let's listen to Anthony Housefather explain the procurement process. His words.
These agreements require employees of the Government of Canada that access these documents to sign confidentiality agreements. And why is that? Why is there much more redactions, as my colleague said, in these documents than in other documents?
Why?
It's
Tell
because
us.
These documents were signed at the beginning of the pandemic, when everybody was desperate for vaccines, when companies were being told to rush vaccine production, do testing in an unprecedented way, in a way they normally don't do it. So these companies were exposed to way higher liability, putting their products on the market than they normally would, because they didn't do the type of testing that normally takes these drugs years to come to market.
Can you believe this? Just saying it.
So that's why these companies said, if I'm going to deliver you this product that I haven't tested in my normal way, I want to have different conditions.
Yeah.
And with countries around
no
the world
liability
competing with each other to get these the countries had less leverage than they normally do. For example, if we were entering into flu vaccine contracts or monkeypox contracts or other things that were normally available, this would be a different issue. But these are already signed. They were signed at a time the government didn't have that leverage.
We got
just
screwed,
wanted
and
to sign
you
as many
all
vaccine
suffer.
contracts with as many producers as possible because Canadians were desperate for vaccines. And in the end, it worked out. We got vaccines, and we were one of the countries that got to vaccinate everybody the fastest.
Oh my goodness, that enrages me to listen to.
But hold on, it doesn't enrage me because there's some truth to it. If they're rushing it to the market, Pfizer doesn't want to be responsible for everything that they're being pressured to do. I think an indemnity is appropriate. The question, the issue,
is
right?
What they told the general public while they were doing it.
Correct. The issue is misinforming, and I think why they redacted it. That's why they didn't want people to know about this contract, because it would have caused vaccine hesitancy. And in the government's mind, the vaccine hesitancy would have resulted in millions more people dying. And that's why they hid all this. That's why they've dragging their feet and delaying it, because had people known, and the same, I mentioned this to you in February 2022. Same thing with the vaccine industry support program. If you market that thing, if you advertise it, you're advertising a danger of the product, and no one's going to want to take it. And maybe that'll cause more fatalities. And so the government gives itself a pat on the back and justifies its conduct by saying we saved millions of lives by not giving people informed consent, because they probably wouldn't have taken.
It's called lying to get people to consume your product. It's also called concealing the fact that you're getting hosed, putting everyone at risk because you can't negotiate with big bad Pfizer, and then yet somehow Moderna ends up with a manufacturing facility in Laval. Amazing. It says here that he assumed office as the parliamentary secretary to the Minister of Public Services and Procurement in December 3, 2021. And I don't know who was before him there. So maybe he wasn't the Minister of Procurement at the time.
I wanted to go through another not funny, but like an interesting, and I have a scheduled tweet on this later.
Section 12.8. If you can't laugh, cry. I mean, if you can't cry, at least laugh about it.
Section 12.8. So on the Canada version, this has to do with the definition of what is a force majeure, a major force outside the control of any party that would make the contract impossible to perform. Section
12.8. Let's go down. It's like, force majeure. There we go. Neither party shall be liable for any failure to perform the data. Okay.
By the way, important clarification. You still have to pay, during a force majeure. So like this happened with landlords, right? During COVID, and tenants. Tenants couldn't open, so they said that we don't have to pay because of force majeure, and they lost those cases. So commercial tenants had to pay their rent, even though it was a force majeure preventing them from operating the business, right?
Yes, okay, but hold on one second. Silver is real money. Thank you for the
so now
super
under
chat.
this contract,
I'm not reading it.
Now under this contract, the manufacturing supply agreement, they have a force majeure clause, meaning if Pfizer may not be able to deliver on time or at all, but at least for the on time, if they're not able to deliver on time, they're allowed to delay whatever, and there's still an obligation by Canada to eventually pay for those the product. But look at the definition of force majeure.
Hold on, what is the debt? Where is it under under South African?
I think it's the same
contract. One. Well, what section?
12.8.
No. So they got arbitration. Looks like it's a little different here. Publicity, governing law, third parties, relationship. Wait, down. 12.8, force majeure. Okay, sorry. Neither party shall be liable for any failure to perform or any delays in performances, and neither party shall be deemed to be in breach or default of its obligations set forth in this agreement. I hate legal contract. If to the extent and for so long as such failure or delay is due to any causes that are beyond its reasonable control and not to its acts or omissions, including this is a hell of a run-on sentence, as they all are. Without limitation, such causes of acts of capital G God, I don't think any of these people believe in God, natural disasters, flood, severe storms, earthquake, civil disturbance, yada, 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 yada.
Pandemic. So...
Sorry, I didn't get there. And then hold on. Failure or inability to pay shall not be a basis for force majeure. All right, so they've got to respect the contract even in the event of force majeure.
But so what I thought was ironic was that this contract was drafted in the middle of a pandemic, and they have the definition of force majeure, meaning Pfizer can get out of it if they're in the middle of a pandemic, which they are. So in other words, I don't know.
It says neither party shall be liable does it mean that it doesn't mean that they still get paid. It just means that if they don't produce it, they will not be, for reasons of the pandemic, they will not be liable under the agreement.
Right. But Canada can't say, Canada can't get out of the deal by saying there's a force majeure. This is kind of the, right? It locks them in. And I just thought it was kind of ironic that not even the pandemic.
No, it's great. So we couldn't do it because of the pandemic that we're supposed to be providing the miracle cure for. Oh, lordy.
So, yeah. And
Anita Anand, they say. Let me see if that's the case. Anita Anand would have been the Minister of Procurement. Anita Anand. I'll go to Wiki just to see what they. Anita Anand Wikipedia. Okay, now my computer's taking a little bit of time here. Yeah, she was Minister of Procurement from 2019 to 2021. Okay, that looks like right. Okay. I think.
And the other last issue that I wanted to get off my chest was the dispute resolution and jurisdiction clause. What is the governing law? What is the governing law? I would have thought
I'm going to take a guess.
Yeah, guess.
Well, it's either going to be Canada or German. wait, where is Pfizer's? Why would I say German?
I think Pfizer. Yeah, and I think
where's BioNTech manufactured? It was Pfizer U.S. Where is the governing law?
I don't know for sure, to be honest. I assume, based on South Africa, Canada had the same bargaining power as South Africa, and so in that contract it says they've got to go to New York.
Okay.
Which to me, again, I'm not a subject matter expert in international, supply agreements for vaccines, but I would have thought if I'm the King of Canada or Her Majesty at the time, and I'm saying, no, I'm not submitting to no offense to your U.S. followers, I'm not submitting to U.S. law, I'm submitting to Canadian law. But the point is, beggars can't be choosers. Canada was a beggar at that point, and we had to submit to.
They were a beggar if you don't think that they're all okay. Never. There's some concerted effort here. Mr. Sauerkraut says, "Did I just get the great Viva to respond to my comment?" Well, if you got it twice, Mr. Sauerkraut. All right, Dan, what do you got? What are you working on these days?
Just the usuals. On the whole vaccine fronts, we got some the usual wrongful terminations. We're trying to settle some cases there, and then slowly working through. I mean, it's the vaccine injury support program. I'm not really taking on new cases, just trying to help. Any
definitive concrete results, or is it still going through the process that you can talk about?
There's some I feel like it's getting ready to crack, but it's basically you've got to get your medical documents really lined up, and so that's kind of the delay at the end of the day for a lot of these. But I'm sensing that there's more willingness now by the vaccine injury support program to expedite and pay. But it's rough. It is rough.
All right, man. Dan, I'm gonna bring this party on over to Rumble, and there's gonna be a very, very funny initial video there. Link to Rumble. Everyone come on over to there. And then at the end of this, we're going to end it and go over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Dan, you're gonna be on the screen for one last shout out to today's sponsor, Galaxy. Here we go. GalaxyLamps.co.
Oh, look, you're the real deal now. You have sponsorship.
And it's a product that we have. So it's like it's the win-win. GalaxyLamps.co, people. Halloween is coming. Viva promo code 15% off. Okay, Dan.
I'm gonna buy one now.
Go, it's actually kind of cool. All
right,
go.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. See you soon.
Peace.
Bye. Oh, I'm sweating. I can feel the sweat dripping down my chest because this makes me so angry. Lying to you in real time. I think it was Tom MacDonald who said in one of his songs, if you lie to the government, they put you in prison. When they lie to all of us, it's called being a politician. Lies. Boldface lies that we're only now discovering, but everyone just wants to, we just want to get back to regular. We don't want to be reminded that we might have put at risk the people that we were entrusted to protect on this earth by believing what they were telling us. Okay, I'm not going to get too far into it because I'm going to save it for Rumble. But I do want to show everybody where we're going with this. Hold on. The classic? No, that's not it. No. Oh, here we go. Two things at once. This is where we're going, people. Come on over to Rumble as I end this on YouTube. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. On Locals, I'll give everybody the link for that as well, where you got the party. We have the after party. Oh, we're going to watch this, and we're going to laugh at this, and I'm going to share some thoughts. Some really, really like sinister, black-pilled, doom-pilled thoughts that go beyond selling your soul for a little bit of that beautiful pharma money. I got my pharma money. Does everybody watch Teen Titans? And they got that waffle money. I got my waffle money. Hey, they got that Pfizer money. But the possibilities are even darker than that. We'll get into it on Rumble as we end this on YouTube in 3,